with us today. Just so happens to be your mom. So always got to give
yes.
props to your mom. Thought it was your sister when she walked in. So
right.
I will say she must be doing something right.
She
something you all can do right is pass Senate Bill 459. And I'm Nick Schroer, for the record, state senator for the 2nd. This is a bill that has never been filed previously, but I think all of us can appreciate the intent in trying to bring more jobs here. We're competing with 49 other domestic entities trying to attract jobs into the United States, into Missouri. But as of right now, with the supply chain issues that we've seen over the past several years, whether it comes to vital things such as medicines and microchips, or things like toilet paper or acrylics or vinyl to help with the businesses that are in our districts, in our state, something needs to be done. And what this would essentially do, and I'm open to any changes, any modifications, it would allow a taxpayer to claim a tax credit for eligible insourcing expenses incurred to moving the business from China or Russia to Missouri. I'm thinking I may want to expand that to the nations of Iran, North Korea, Venezuela. I'd be open to what the committee is looking into when it comes time to pass this, but it also gives up to or equal the amount of 60% of eligible insourcing expenses or 75% of eligible insourcing expenses if the taxpayer is a manufacturer of medical supplies or electronic chips. There is a prong in here which would require the business to repay the amount of taxes if they close or move within a 10-year period. But with this framework in place, I look forward to any questions and any amendments to make this bill any better.
Any questions for the bill sponsor?
Here.
Senator Esslinger.
Just real quick, when you're talking about giving the tax credit, would that be a person that is a Missouri citizen or somebody who's in Missouri, or is it Missouri?
But I would be open to it. As of right now, they wouldn't have to be necessarily a Missouri citizen. It would just be moving their business from China, Mexico, Russia, moving it here. So we would have more jobs here. We could put requirements in there that the employees have to be Missouri citizens. So another way to help our citizens here, especially if this global conflict gets any worse. I want to keep people at work. I want to keep businesses in our state generating the revenue. So if you'd like to make sure that the owners of the business have to be Missouri residents or anything like that, I'm open to it.
Well, I really like the intent of this bill, and I appreciate you filing it, and I look forward to learning more. Thank you.
Senator Fitzwater, do you have a question? Senator, I will say that microchips, it's crazy in the amount of businesses and products that use microchips. I mean, they're in toasters, even toasters these days, and obviously we have a shortage of microchips. And I'd heard that there's some vehicles that have 2,500 microchips in one vehicle, and that's just crazy. So I applaud you for what you're trying to do here. Seeing no further questions, first up to testify in favor of Senate Bill 459. Proceed when ready.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Chuck Pierce appearing here today on behalf of Associated Industries of Missouri. We're going to go on record in support. As the sponsor said, this is kind of the first time this idea has been floated, but we think it's a good one. It's targeted to specific costs for the relocation, encourages businesses to come to Missouri. And, since it is a new idea, we think it's a good idea that it's got a cap on it so that we can kind of work through that. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next up, testify in favor of Senate Bill 459.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Philip Arnzen with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We'd like to go on the record in support. Anything we can do to help bring jobs and help bring investment to our state is something we support. Additionally, the Chamber and also a lot of businesses in Missouri have been really engaged and active in trying to get more chip manufacturing to the state, especially using the Federal CHIPS Act, using a lot of those incentives. So this can go along with that and help bring a lot of that chip manufacturing and some of those adjacent supply chain processes over here.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up to testify in favor of Senate Bill 459. Seeing none, anyone here to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 459? Seeing none, anyone here to testify for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 459? Seeing none, Senator, do you have any final concluding remarks? I agree. That concludes, thank you, Senator. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 459. Madam Secretary, I think we'll go ahead and take roll.
Sorry, I misplaced my roll call. Danny? Where did you? Sorry. Senators Hoskins?
Here.
Esslinger?
Here.
Beck? Eigel? Fitzwater? Huff? Roberts?
Here.
You have 4 present, 3 absent.
We do have 4 present and 3 absent. We do have a quorum. I know Senator Eigel should be here very shortly, but while we wait for him to present Senate Bill 498, I think we'll go ahead and go into executive session. Do I have a second? Do you have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We are in executive session. I now move that we bring Senate Bill 413 before the committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
I do have a second. This bill is before the committee. Senate Bill 413 establishes the Missouri Angel Investment Incentive Act, which allows investors to claim a tax credit for their investments in qualified businesses. I do have a Senate committee substitute, and I move that we adopt the Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 413. Do I have a second? I do have a second. The Senate committee substitute increases the tax credit to 70% of the investment if the business is located in certain rural communities. It also requires MTC to make half of the total allowable credit available every 6 months instead of 1/4 per quarter. Lastly, the 2% interest being conveyed to MTC is being replaced with a 4% fee to MTC for promoting the divisions. Any discussion on the adoption of the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the Senate committee substitute say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We have adopted the Senate committee substitute. I now move that we do pass Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 413. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Any further discussion on the do pass motion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Hoskins?
Aye.
Esslinger?
Aye.
Beck? Eigel? Fitzwater? Huff? Roberts?
Aye.
Pass 4.
By your vote of 4-0, you voted do pass on Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 413. And we'll say it's great to see you back, Senator Roberts.
Hey, great to be back. Thank
Yep.
you.
I now make a motion to move out of executive committee and resume our regular hearing. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? We're out of executive session. So right now we will just stand at ease until, so we can have a hearing on Senate Bill 498 with Senator Eigel.
ask questions?
All right, we will come back from at ease. Senator Eigel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. State Senator Bill Eigel from the 23rd State Senatorial District. I appreciate the committee's patience, and it's my pleasure to introduce Senate Bill 498, which authorizes an income tax deduction for 100% of any income received by a taxpayer as overtime compensation. A very similar bill to this was heard a couple weeks ago, which was filed by Senator Mike Moon. So this is the same exact bill. I could go through all the reasons why this is a great idea, but I think that this is a fantastic incentive for our hourly workers that we are relying more on increasingly in this state. So taking the income tax off of overtime makes sense to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Senator Esslinger.
Hi, I like your bill. I liked Senator Moon's bill as well. Amazing. I like both of them, you know. But I have a question, and that is, you know, I understand that we want to be able to give opportunity for less tax load for those who go above and beyond. But I think that there's some salaried folks who also go above and beyond, and I'm not sure how we'd be able to treat them equally.
That's a great point, Senator. I think that there are now increasing rules that regulate how much salaried employees could work beyond a normal 40-hour work week. In fact, if they go too far, I believe they now have to report those as overtime hours. So I'd be happy to add some exemptions or some additional language in there trying to address that.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just know that in various industries across the state, many salaried workers do and have expectation of, you know, that's not part of my contract, but it's what we need to be able to do. It's good work for our state. And I just don't want to overlook those folks as we look to do this good work. I don't want to not include some others.
I agree with you 100%. I'd like to try to capture that, and by no means would we want to try to incentivize corporations to make folks salaried employees so that they can somehow get away with basically getting hours that they're not having to pay for.
Which is was going to be my next point, but you made it beautifully, so I won't have to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none. First up to testify in favor of Senate Bill 498. Anyone testify in favor? Anyone here to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 498? Seeing none. Anyone here to testify for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 498? Seeing none. Senator, do you have any final concluding remarks?
Thank you for the patience of all the committee members, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 498.
I think you should be.
Seeing no further business coming before the committee, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Or do you have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We are adjourned.